Let's wait for 2 minutes to get everyone joining us, and then we
Mhm.
will get started.
Excellent. Hello, happy to be
Hello.
here.
Thank you so much. Okay, I guess we should start now. Okay, first let
Mhm.
me share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, I can see the presentation.
Okay, great. Okay, let's let's start. Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today for Halloween Bash Masterclass titled Healing Dreams and Curses: Unveiling the Supernatural in Ancient Greece, led by the brilliant Dr. Manolis Baglis. We're super excited to have you with us on this spooky and scholarly evening, diving into the mystical, magical, and mysterious world of ancient Greece. A huge thank you to Dr. Baglis, who is generously volunteering his time to lead this session and share his expertise with us tonight. Thank you so much. Let's just start
Thank you.
with what is SASA? SASA stands for Save Ancient Studies Alliance. Our mission is to promote the study of the ancient world by making it more accessible, engaging, and inclusive for everyone. We host a variety of live events like this one, including master classes, book clubs, lectures, and reading groups. We also offer a growing collection of free educational resources and learning models on our website. Please check it out. Through our outreach, collaboration, and public scholarships, SASA is building grassroots movement to inspire a diverse and connected community of learners, scholars, and people who are obsessed with ancient world, like we are. Okay. You can find us on all major social media platforms. Just reach for Save Ancient Studies Alliance or Save Ancient Studies. Follow us to stay up to date on upcoming events, volunteer opportunities, and new educational content. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where this session and others are streamed live and archived on for future viewing. Okay. Before we dive into tonight's supernatural adventure, just a few quick housekeeping notes. If you're comfortable, please turn on your camera. It helps foster a friendly and interactive atmosphere. Please be kind and respectful in discussion and chat. Feel free to listen, discuss, and ask thoughtful questions throughout the session. Please be patient with technology and those helping to run the event, please. A reminder, the Assassin Master classes are recorded and will be shared with everyone after the session. Most importantly, have fun. Let's make this lively and engaging Halloween gathering fun. Okay. Please, if you're enjoying tonight's session, please consider supporting SASA. While this Halloween masterclass is led by a generous volunteer, most of our programming is powered by passionate, unpaid team members who dedicate their time to making the ancient world accessible to everyone. You can support us by making a small recurring donation, even as little as 500 a month. Help us to continue our mission, purchasing featured books through our bookshop page where you get 10% discount, or by browsing our Shaza Bazaar for themed merch perfect for any ancient studies enthusiasts. Every bit of support helps to keep us and keep these events coming like this one. And thank you for joining us. And let's move to the next one. Okay. And with that, I'm thrilled to pass the mic to the wonderful Dr. Manalus. Thank you again all for joining us today and get ready to explore healing, dreams, and curses that shaped the supernatural world of ancient Greece. Enjoy the session and happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Habiba. Uh, Happy Halloween. Yes, 31st of October today. So we chose the best day for having this discussion, celebrating
Yes.
the supernatural. Let me share my screen, and you should be able to see it. Uh, Welcome. I'm very happy to be here. Uh, I'm very happy to be invited by Sasa once again. Really supporting dissemination of knowledge and supporting the ancient studies, no matter this is classical or not so classical. Um, Today, the speech, my presentation will be about mostly epigraphy, really, in the ways that ancient Greeks experienced healing through mainly dreams, in this case, and how they also used the supernatural in order to help them with specific personal cases through curses. So, without further ado, let's get into some of it. So today's discussion really will consider first a bit the realm of divine healing. What is it and why it matters to the ancient Greeks? Then we will move to see a bit the dreams as a type of divine communication, or so it was believed. And then we will see really specific cases from the sanctuary of Asclepius, one of the healing deities at Epidavros, where they present cases of people, actually pilgrims, who visited the sanctuary, had and how they were cured by the god. And then we will move to the darker side of events, the more supernatural, and we will discuss curses and binding spells with specific two case studies: a love curse from Macedon, the Pella tablet, and then, of course, a curse regarding an ancient wrestler, an athlete, okay, who's been cursed not to perform very well in his competition. And really, this is a very fitting moment. It's Halloween, 31st of October. We are through the day, and we have to think about the supernatural in these kind of terms. Um, in ancient Greece and much of ancient Rome also, religion and the supernatural were part of everyday life. So it is not so much a consideration for us to believe if these supernatural things did occur, but rather why did people thought that they occur. Okay, so we are in a world where uh, people and gods live in the same place, in the same landscape. Okay, um, in in a world where everything that happens may or may not have a divine intervention, and in such way, of course, dreams act like a conduit where you get information, you get healing, you get ideas, you get directions by gods, and of course, how this kind of bi-directional thing works, where people also maybe invoke some gods or some deities, or maybe no one specifically to use this kind of supernatural power for cursing. So let's go into the realm of healing, divine healing, actually. So when we think about divine healing in ancient Greece, we really need to think about the Asclepia, which is really healing sanctuaries. You will see in your screen a plan of the Asclepieion at Epidaphros in central Greece, where actually healing sanctuaries dedicated to Asclepios, who is a demigod, if you wish, of medicine and healing. So these sites are quite large, most of them, very often located in a very serene, natural setting. They serve as centers of care. Okay, they offer the whole context of a healing process, combining rituals, combining really the invocation of dreams, and also medical treatments like pragmatic things. So pilgrims from across the Greek world will really travel into those sanctuaries in order to find a cure for their condition. And in this sanctuary, they will undergo a type of incubation, uh, a process in which sleep is very much a great component. Actually, they will need to sleep in the sanctuary in order to receive this divine intervention, this divine guidance through the dreams. So Asclepius is believed to be the son of Apollo and of a mortal woman. And in this way, he is venerated as a healer and a savior. And his cult is spread across the Greek world, really, throughout the classical and Hellenistic periods up into the Roman periods. Um, you may know of Asclepius, especially from most cases from the symbol of medicine, which is the rod with a serpent around, which is really today a universal emblem for healing, for medicine. And then we may need actually to think about the, the platform of dreams, this conduit, okay, which is for the Greeks a type of divine communication. So, as always, antiquity is known or sometimes hidden from us based on some type of reception. So, we need to go to the second century of Common Era and to find Artemidoros, who is a professional diviner and a dream interpreter from Ephesus in Asia Minor in contemporary Turkey, who, who is known to us from an extant, quite voluminous work, 5 volumes in ancient Greek, the Onirokritika, which is actually the meaning, the interpretation of dreams. And it is the only surviving surviving work about dreams from antiquity. Uh, During the Middle Ages, this was known in Greek and Arabic manuscript, this work of Artemidoros. And the intention of Artemidoros when he compiled this book was uh, to be able for people to look at a manual. It's like a practical, everyday use book. So in his work, Artemidoros created two large categories, two big themes, if you wish, of dreams: the enhypnia and the oniroi. So the two categories is really quite different. The enhypnia, the first category, is actually uh, the one that deals with everyday, ordinary dreams that mostly are based to concerns that people have or to their own physical state. What we are interested more, actually, in the case of this discussion today, is the oniroi, which are, in a way, prophetic dreams that carry divine favor or messages or guidance and provide insights about future. So it may be a specific advice, it may be something to help you uh, practice your decision making skills, or actually this kind of healing activity through divine intervention. Now, uh, as I said earlier, the Book of Artemidoros is based upon reception of antiquity. So when Artemidoros writes his books, he takes into account things that happen in the Greek world across the previous centuries. Um, um, but also, reception for us is how do we know about the Book of Artemidoros? So, in fact, the reception of the Book of Artemidoros had a very big gap because actually uh, in the category of the Oniroi, we have three whole chapters that deal with erotic, or I should say, very explicit sexual dreams and interpretations. So many of them, because of the nature, this kind of strong sexual material, um, fell under the category of sexual taboos, especially under Christianity. So, despite the great interest of the work of Anthemidoros when it was written, it kind of faded from the discussion, scholarly discussion also. And for many, many centuries, there was no real commentary on this fundamental book for understanding divine intervention and dreaming in antiquity. But anyway, for today's discussion, let's see how actually Artemidoros reached his conclusions by looking this kind of earlier material that informed his study. So we go to Epidavros, and we have to turn our gaze into the actual stone, the material, the epigraphy, to find out specific cases, and there are plenty of them. Actually, there is a very huge document, a very huge list of narrated events that the sanctuary of Asclepius at Epidavros has chosen to demonstrate the success of its healing ability. So I have chosen two cases. The first case is the case of a woman of Ambrosia from Athens, who supposedly was crossed-eyed, and she was ridiculing the cures of the god Asclepius as really impossible. So, in a dream, while she was visiting the sanctuary, Asclepius appeared and promised to heal her, but in return, he demanded from her a silver pig, which would be a timeless memorial of her ignorance. And of course, we can think about a lot of things. Why Ambrosia, who has this problem with her eyes, um, and who apparently does not believe to the healing powers of Asclepius, has visited the sanctuary and agrees to sleep on the sanctuary, which is one part of the conversation. But also how is possible, for example, if indeed Ambrosia was cross-eyed, to be healed by just a dream. So these are considerations of the supernatural. If we move to the second case, we have an unnamed man from Torone. Torone is a location in North Greece. And he visits the sanctuary of Asclepius at Epidavros because he is infested with leeches, which apparently his stepmother puts in his drink. Um, and during his sleep time in the sanctuary, um, he's dreaming of an operation where Asclepius visits him and slices open his chest. He removes the leeches and put him back together. And the next morning, the man wakes up and he's cured. And again, of course, we really need to think about the whole case. How is it possible that this man has indeed drunk leeches from his stepmother, and how did what took place actually in the sanctuary that allowed for the leeches that apparently were inside his chest uh, uh, to 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 leave his body and for him to be cured. So one consideration as a general thing before we go into the specific cases is that really these are marketing ways, right? These cases of people who visited the sanctuary to receive some type of care, and that care is given to them and it is successful, are actually ways that the sanctuary of Asclepius really advertises to the outsider, to the passerby, but also to possible pilgrims, their power in healing. So there is always this kind of level of marketing inside. I mean, you can be whatever you say you are, right? It doesn't matter if it is completely true or not. But if you advertise it correctly, then it kind of sticks. Um, but if we are true, we have to get a bit deeper, really, and and to think about these kind of inscriptions, and the idea that people like Ambrosia or that other men and women visit those centers of healing in order to receive some real treatment by the people working in the sanctuaries, or some placebo effect from some type of divine intervention. So we really need to consider the psychological background of the whole process alongside with the physiological effect. So let's delve into the case. So you can see Ambrosius here. I have added the whole text in ancient Greek, but also an English translation for all of us. And I'm reading like Ambrosia from Athens, the cross-eyed. She came as a suppliant to the god. Walking about the sanctuary, she ridiculed some of the cures as being unlikely and impossible. The lame and the blind became well from only seeing a dream. Sleeping here, she saw a vision. It seemed to her that God came to her and said he would make her well, but she would have to pay a fee by dedicating a silver pig in the sanctuary as a memorial of her ignorance. When she had said, when he had said these things, he cut her sick eye and poured a medicine over it. When she woke, when the day came, she left well. So, in this realm of miraculous cure, among the attestations of different cures, we have the case of Ambrosia. Okay, so this person needs to visit the sanctuary. Um, she sleeps there one day, and despite the fact that she does not believe that through a dream she can be cured, as it is quite impossible for people who cannot walk or people who cannot see really to be cured only through a dream. She sleeps there, she sees a dream, and then she wakes up cured. And when this so what do we need to consider? First of all, the it is one of the cases in which we have this ateroptilos woman. It's a very weird word. Most of the scholars think of it as not being able to see from one eye. I think we can for sure think something more like possibly meaning cross-eyed, really, because it is a hapax, a unicorn. So she goes to the god. She's crawling around. This is what the text says in reality, and she's laughing out loud with the cures that deem impossible. How can crippled and blind people suddenly become fully healthy only by seeing something in their dreams? Then, of course, she falls into the sleep. She sees a vision, and the vision, Asclepius himself visits her and restores her problematic vision, uh, only with this kind of reward that really there will be a memorandum for other pilgrims to see of her ignorance. Uh, and of course, as soon as the agreement happens in the dream, the god helps her cure, and Ambrosia leaves the temple full health. Now, we do not need to consider the impossibility or the possibility of this kind of cure. Of course, if we think about it, there should be some kind of treatment. We have this kind of phrase that we have a pouring of medicine over the eye. So these things should happen one way on the other. But we have to imagine this case of ambrosia as one just small part of a series of other events that are appearing at the entrance of the sacred place of Epidavros. Um, and I have chosen this because, at least for me, it is one very, very interesting, um interesting case. We have a woman that does not believe in this kind of supernatural things. She visits the sanctuary despite the fact uh, she's there, she ridicules people, and then despite all these things, she gets cured. I will come back with some consideration as we discuss more things in a moment. So we can go to case number two, and this is a smaller, actually, advertising event. We have an anonymous, unknown man from Toronto who actually had leeches. Okay, um, so going to sleep, this man in the temple of Asclepios, he saw a dream. He dreamt that the god opened up his chest with a knife, extracted the leeches, put them into his hand, and sewed up his chest. When day came, he went out holding the creatures in his hand, and he was cured. He had swallowed them, tricked by his stepmother, who had put them in a posset that he drank. So this unnamed man from Halkidiki has a quite different story, and also it's very interesting because I think in many ways it is universal and timeless. Okay, so uh, we are not very sure in translation terms what is the meleas in the first line. So if we follow scholars, this probably means leeches. Okay. So we have a type of medical treatment, actually a surgery that is happening in his dream, in where the god actually removes the leeches and places them into the hand of the man. Of course, he sits back, and the next day he leaves the temple, as in the previous case, completely cured. Uh, so scholars have indeed discussed, as in the previous case, in this case, the probability of some type of truth in the entire event. So we can only, however, be sure for one specific aspect, regardless of um, the fault of the stepmother. Um, we are sure that there should have been some type of attempt of the stepmother to kill her stepson. So in this way, the episode demonstrates one of very ancient stereotypes, or maybe two. First, that there is this kind of very ancient example of hostility between the stepmother and the son-in-law. And second, of course, the choice of the attack. Uh, the poison, the leeches are put into the drink in which the poor man drinks, and then he gets affected. Now, I know that today is 31st of October, so it's a trick or treat day. So actually, I have added, I kind of lied, and I added one extra, a bonus case from a miraculous thing in Epidavros, which I find quite telling and quite funny for the occasion. This is this case, which is just a man. Okay, um, it's a very short example. So an unnamed man, um, really, stone is in his membrum. So a dream. It seemed to him that he was lying with a fair boy, and when he had a seminal discharge, he ejected the stone and picked it up and walked out holding it in his own hands. So in this case, a man comes to the temple with a stone in his penis. He sees a dream in which dream he has intercourse fornicates, if we were the language of the holy books, with a beautiful young child. And when he ejaculates in his sleep, he cast away this stone, and he took it back, excited, and excited leaves the temple with a stone as evidence of his healing. Now, interestingly, of course, this is a hands-on approach, but we have issues that we can have also in our mind when we discuss this kind of miraculous and supernatural cases from ancient Greece. That reception is important. So, for example, the very famous dictionary of ancient Greek, the Little Scott, really didn't have a specific translation for the verb oxonero, the verb actually to have a wet dream in terms. Anyway, this is excellent work both for the man and the diction and the and the sanctuary uh, the god, of course. Excellent. And then maybe we can because maybe time is working against us. Um, maybe we can pass what could be the dark side of the supernatural. We move from these kind of healing activities uh, to the cases of curses. And really, uh, this image in your screens, I created image, and I had fun playing a bit with it. It looks beautiful. It is, of course, ineligible to be. I don't know what language are there. It reminds me of Star Trek or something else. Actually, this kind of curse tablet would probably look less like that instead of this kind of very beautiful creation of the AI. So to communicate with the supernatural that trend lives of everyday people in ancient Greece, and they transcend also existence in ways, whether we like it or not. So, as students of antiquity, we really are or tend to be preoccupied with organized forms of religion, like the 12 gods of Olympus, this kind of pantheon, sacrifices for them, rituals, commemoration, okay, prayers, oracles, all this stuff, myths, of course. But curses, this kind of tablets that we will discuss today a bit, this is where we have really a look at the subaltern, that normally are not very visible in our sources, and we can own care for things and their own way to deal things. So Greek magic is a growing of research, and within of this very important are the tablets, which as we excavate more and more are found more and more. So we must assume that most of the in most of the cases, this kind of curse tablets were using material, maybe maybe clay, easy destroyed, um, or wood, easy to but we have been very lucky to find many that are surviving, especially on metal tablets. These are mainly made by lead. I'm always using this kind of English expression. But if we want to think about how the Greeks were calling them, they call them katadesmoi, which is really the word that describes a binding. Okay, this is the intention of the person who cares to bind a victim in some type of way that will prevent from doing something that the person that curses does not approve. So you can think immediately about the spectrum and variety of such things. It could be very personal things like jealousy and love and on to professional things where you don't want your competitors to have a better job or a job and so on. And we normally found those katadesmoi in the ground. Okay, they are put into the ground. Of course, many other antiquities because they are meant to be buried so that they can remain intact, so that the binding spell will not. Okay, and of course, because most of the deities that deal with this kind of activities are coming from underground or the from the land, from earth. Of course, the curse tablet should be in the vicinity of their power. Um, so, if we use one sentence to describe the curse tablet, the curse are those in which we have inscribed curses on a type of a material with antagonist. Okay, letters carved into stone, into wax, sometimes into lead, with a specific formula, which, as we shall see, it is often performative and it's very direct. Okay, so there is an agent, someone who asks the deities to perform this task for them, and the task is to prevent someone from doing something, or to prevent someone will do something specific. Okay, so we have a specific prayer, as you would imagine. We have invocation of a demon, a chthonic deity, a deity of the underground or of the earth, uh, which is ordered to subdue or in a way smite the victim, which is very much a meaning of such a case. And then we have this kind of formula that it is making sure that there is a comparison between the victim and the concept that the AIDS is. I will be more specific now. So we can go to one of the older cases of a curse tablet. This is the infamous Pella tablet, which is a love curse tablet coming from ancient Macedon. So we are quite early in the history. We are 4th century before Common Era. That this tablet was found in the 1980s and published nearly a decade later. And I just put here in this slide only 6 lines to demonstrate that the writing on the tablet is actually quite in capitals. All of it is continuous, and so. But we have to think about the tablet as quite substantial. Okay, it's not a very small hidden thing. It's like a 30 centimeters lead tablet that has specific information on it, that has a structure, as I asked earlier, and it has specific requirements for things to happen, and in which case, kind of clause that demonstrates in which case this curse will no longer be happening. And here is the example, actually. So we have a visual of this kind of curse. You can see on the top the lead tablet, and of course below you can see how, if we could able to read it closely, how it would read. Now the important thing is, and that makes it very much clearer, the need to be to use the word as part of the care tablets, is that this this lead, quite long sheet of lead, really, uh, you can see has this kind of lines. They start from the top of the lead and they kind of go towards down. Sometimes they're quite straight, sometimes are a bit not so straight because the material, of course, is lead. You cannot very easily, like paper, fold it. So we have to imagine that after the person who wrote this curse finished it, fold and press together this lead sheet and then buried. And actually, we shall see in the translation why this happens. And case of visual aspect, you can see that the quite long text is 8 lines. Unfortunately, because of the material and because of and reading aspect, we are missing some 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 cases of letters. Let me read it for you, and we can discuss it. So actually, I bind, okay, with a written spell the ritual wedding and marriage of Thetima and Dionysophon, and of all other women, both widows and maidens, but of Thetima in particular, and I entrust them to Macron and the Demoness. And only when I should dig up again and unroll and read this, might she marry Dionysus, but not before. For I wish he take no other woman rather for me to grow old with Dionysus and no one else. I am your supplicant. Have pity on Phila, dear demons. I am a woman, I'm not sure. Of all my dear ones, and I have been abandoned. But guard this, we mean this tablet, for my sake, so that these things do not happen, and so that wretched Thetima perishes miserably, but that I become happy and blessed. So quite a lot of things really happen here, right? We have apparently really a woman that is in love. Um, she makes a specific curse to the guy that she's in love with, Dionysophon, who apparently is ready to marry another woman, and she wishes to make sure that Dionysophon is not successful with Thetima or any other woman in his life. And for this reason, she curses him, tablet, and the only way that this curse can break, according to the curse, is if this um, lead tab is again um, found, dig up from the earth, and really unrolled. And there are many things. Some of things we do not, we're not very sure because of the condition of the tablet. But there is this kind of, but really, from the possible wife of the Sophon really die in a miserable way, uh, be perished in a miserable way, and that uh, herself, Phila, can have happy and blessed life with Unisophon. Now, again, when we think about these cases of the use of supernatural, we have the case of another woman. I mean, in cases of the healing that I said earlier, sometimes we are lucky, like the case of Ambrosia, that we find the name of that would not have appeared in our sources, in our knowledge about antiquity at all. In this case, also, we have a woman that has a very real problem for her, the problem of jealousy and love. and the ways in which it tries to deal with. And this is also important. Okay. How do you find, I mean, how do you know that there is this kind of case in which you can ask someone to kind of care tablet and that will work or this may work? And then we start thinking about this case of people traveling, men and women possibly, that are selling this kind of service that you can pay someone and this wizard really can really write down this kind of cares in a specific material based on price also based on your ability to pay for it based on its potency, right? And you can make this kind of order and then make this kind of you and the cares and then you get this kind of service. So we immediately have a look in the everyday life of normal people that normally do not appear philosophical or literary text. They only appear in this type of material, and we have a kind of snapshot of these lives in many ways. A very simple people, desperate people for any reason can do desperate things, and there is a lot of ongoing things like, of course, except specific religion, service like tarot you go to read your and so on. So we have to think about this kind of everyday activities that demonstrate something much less in the ancient world and much closer to things that time even today. And then we can discuss the second case of a tablet, which is actually not really one case. So we travel ahead. It's 6 centuries roughly to the previous, and now we are in a common era, third century, mid third century in Athens, where a dozen tablets were found in a Roman well, a well from the Roman period, in an agora. So in the central place of Athens. Um, Presumably, all those tablets have been really written by the same hand. And the hypothesis that we are working is that we have again this type of wandering wizard, and six centuries later, still existing and being successful, maybe as a business, um, who is hired from to provide this kind of service, most probably elite. Okay, uh, and for, okay, so these people find this wise man and they ask for the service of right hand of cares. And of course, this all of them together are deposed within a so that they are closer to the ground and to the powers of the chthonic. Um, and um, and actually, the case of this wrestler, his name is it's not a single case. Of the 10 tablets found, 3 of them are dedicated to him. So whatever we will see now, it is not actually one tablet, but actually there are 3 pieces of the tablet that all evolve around Ευτυχιάνος. Um, so if it were really a case of um, a bidirectional experience of this masterclass, or if we were in the same classroom in person, it will be funnier, I think. But as you see it in front of your screens, oh, sorry, uh, I overdid it. I think. Sorry, my touch really didn't like me moving my hand so fast. Okay, so as you sit in front of the screen, reading this, maybe you can try really to actually read, and I put here the English translation, the first line of this curse. Okay, try to spell it out and loud as you can, and maybe you will find out as you do it that it is very difficult. Okay, and if you really read it, it sounds really magical. Okay, so I will try my best of my ability. Okay, so vor for var for var vor I that bit. So no one really knows in any language what they say, and this is an effect that we really need to think when person sells his knowledge, his service to other people. He should be able to demonstrate some type of competency. And then we really need to think that this kind of illegible magic words demonstrate the whole importance of the fact, right? It's like you really call upon demon, a chthonic deity, someone really powerful that can support your cares. So we have this kind of invocation, a name of an unknown deity, and it's like, I deliver to you Ευτυχιάνος, whom Ευτυχία bore, to feed him and his intellect and his companion in your gloomy realm. Bind him to the unlit eternity of oblivion and freeze him and destroy the wrestling match he is about to perform this coming Friday. So, too many things at once, right? Things are happening. So, we have this kind of powerful, supposedly demon being invoked to actually curse a specific guy, Ευτυχιάνος, who is really very specified as such, an individual, which is the son of Ευτυχία. So we have seen here the mother's name demonstrates this kind of connection and makes it really individual. To be frozen along with any of the companions in this kind of underground, gloomy realm in which the demon resides. And in a very harsh wording, okay, he has to be bound to the unlit eternity of oblivion. But really, what the person asks is that this coming Friday, where this has a match, be able to form, not to be able to be present, so to lose it. And I think it is quite funny because it is one case of Tichianos that kind of separates into three different tablets. And another traveler continues, like, and if he wrestles Ευτυχιάνος, so that he may fall and save himself. Mozoon alkane perpathora give you to Ευτυχιάνος, whom Ευτυχία bore. Strong Typhon, Kolhoi, Tentonton, Seth, Santaucha Ea, Lord Apomingrix, upon obliteration and freezing of Ευτυχιάνος, whom Ευτυχία bore. Kolhop, I cannot even read it, okay? Kolhoi Halops, let Ευτυχιάνος freeze and not be well toned this coming, but let him be loose. As these names freeze, Ευτυχιάνος freeze, whom Ευτυχία bore, whom Ethales coaches. So now this is the second tablet, and we see in this case that we have more secret words. So there is a lot of names. Some of them mean really nothing. This kind of call upon chthonic deities, different deities this time, in order to make sure that the curse gets to be successful. And this kind of secret wording, it is uttered to communicate with the world beyond our own. It is this kind of performance aspect in which you demonstrate to your client really that you really have this kind of knowledge and connection to uh, powerful deities, okay? But most importantly, for the performative aspect of repetition, right? As in all type of prayers, in all religions, repetition is really important. And maybe we can have some type of consolation for our inability to speak out these names. Um, Maybe because uh, we should not really disturb forces that we do not know for and that have been not spoken for eons. But most importantly, because the conjurer makes them really impossible to read for this very reason, to protect their business, okay, to make sure that they have a standing, okay, to present themselves are as able to provide this service and that this service will be successful. Uh, but we need to think about this, okay? Did curses like this, like the love curse or the curse of towards Eptichianos, work? And if they work, did they work all the time? And I think everyone is allowed to have their own views. Uh, but I think that most of us will say that no way that this could actually work. Um, and this is, of course, one of the considerations for which we have to compare this case with the previous case. Okay. So, as I said, these are different. And in the first game, in the first case we have this specific curse that deals coming much of Eptichianos the coming Friday. Okay, so it's bite him so that he can be frozen, so that he cannot come participate. Now, make sure it's like this kind of uh, making a safety close a second way sure that if the fails, and if he manages for some reason the first did not happen, was not successful, that even if he manages to go to wrestle, that he will not be able to wrestle well, and that he control his body, okay, in during the match, and that he will fall on the ground and same himself. And it is even more in this kind of second case. Um, it is even more pronounced. It's this kind of repetition again of the name of Eptichianos, the wrestler, who is the son of Eptichia, to make sure that the deity knows for which guy we're talking about, who has a specific origin, and so on. We have several other extra deities or obscure been called upon to make sure that if the first powerful demon did not succeed, in this case, those demons will succeed. And and the whole writing is quite obscure. Okay, it looks, if you look at the tablet, it looks like this kind of prescription from a doctor, where the doctor writes something and most people cannot really see or understand or read the doctor has written. What is the whole point? Okay, so the whole point from the perspective of the client and for the perspective of the person who sells the service is that you really need only to communicate, I believe, really, to communicate with the spirits. Okay, so it doesn't matter if we cannot read it, it doesn't matter if we cannot spell it. It matters that the person with knowledge, specific knowledge, can, and this is the degree for this kind of service. So what else we know from this tablet? It is that Ευτυχιάνος is really coached by someone called Thales, uh, and he is cursed. We don't know many things about Ευτυχιάνος, really. Um, Supposedly, he should have been quite a good wrestler, okay? Because he has been cursed at least twice for a supposedly important match happening that Friday. In terms of the art of the subaltern voices, we see that this Ευτυχιάνος, in comparison with many other names that appear in our sources, textual or not, is not recognized by the lineage of the father, but rather from the lineage of his mother. Okay, so maybe this indicates some type of a lower class, okay, or of an athlete we do not know, or they do not know the name of the father. Okay, so be what it may, the curse is quite immediate. Okay, it it tends to work before the coming Friday, or at least on this Friday. And the person who invokes the day cares of Tichianos um, hopes that at any case, even if Ευτυχιάνος really goes to fight in the competition, participates, he will lose his resolve and his strength. He will lose control of his body, and he will not be able to wrestle well. So he will fall down and be a saint. Uh, Now, I think we are closing on the hour, on the time limit of today's masterclass. We should think about why all these things that we very quickly, the examples that I discussed and I brought into your knowledge matter. And when we discuss this kind of antiquity, as interesting as it can be, to get some type of stable outcome from this discussion. So by way of conclusion, maybe we should end today's meeting by drawing these links always within the context and in the period under investigation. So we really need to think maybe in this kind of three aspects. So today I presented some cases from people of subaltern this kind of case of voices that demonstrate um, an aspect of daily or some aspects of daily life in ancient Greek antiquity. And they demonstrate this kind of practices, which it's not word universal, but potentially anyone can do those things. Anyone who has a problem can travel to one of the sanctuaries of Apios so that they can receive divine healing. Anyone who has a problem and they do not have the way to deal with it may resort to the paid service of a wandering wise man or woman and write down this kind of. So from low level uh, freed slaves or slaves to people on the elite, supernatural practices from healing to curses are really across are found across the board uh, along all social levels. And then, of course, what I said, the ability that we have people traveling, this kind of pilgrims, to find healing from across the Greek world to this kind of big, sometimes very central sanctuary like that of Asclepius and Epidavros, demonstrates this kind of uh, maybe type of early, right? Where we have medical tourism. People know that this is the place where you can get healing and you travel to that place. I mean, of course, another famous place in classical antiquity is, of course, the island of Kos, off the coast of Turkey, one of the 12 islands of Greece nowadays. And and then in both aspects, both in healing and in cases, we really need to consider the psychology behind. Okay, and we have to think about what does it mean. And the way that the sanctuaries work, the way that the sanctuaries demonstrate how people have been cured, and what is possible for the God to do, uh, simple things or very complex things, like in our case, a surgery, uh, an open chest surgery, for example, provide some type of meaning for the people for the people who choose this kind of service. And this is very similar in the case of the care tablets. Okay, the whole aspect of performance, the unknown names, the unreadable aspect, obscure letters, whatever. The fact that the tablets sometimes are wrapped around and pressed together and hidden under ground. They also provide some type of meaning for both actors, the person who asks for the service and the person who offers the service, and some type of control. Okay, in a quite similar, in a quite similar background as today. Life and the world is quite unpredictable. So people find often really help and support, mental, psychological, and sometimes practical, uh, from the supernatural. So if we close today's masterclass with this simple wording, we can think about the enduring legacy of supernatural that demonstrate really something that it is very much real and demonstrable throughout the history of the world. Uh, in this case, we discussed the classical Mediterranean world, but very similar things happened across the globe in other places with very old traditions in Mesopotamia, in ancient Egypt, in ancient China, India, and so on. So the sophistication of human psychology, the need for this kind of meaning and control, of course, the social dynamics, and we should not focus on, on this kind of negative perspective that we talk about ancient civilization, not very sophisticated and not very civilized. These are primitive people having this kind of primitive superstitions, but rather put it in comparison with today's life. Because if some of those things are primitive superstitions, so much many more other things also today. Okay, so we have to think about this kind of complex systems that address really fundamental human needs for healing, and then of course meaning and control. Uh, Thank you very much for being part of this talk. Uh, it is quite a short one. There are plenty of material. Happy to discuss some of them at another date.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's take a little time for questions and discussion. If you have any
Mhm.
question, please go and feel free to drop them in the chat. We already have some. Let's go and answer them. Someone
I
asked, should I, yeah,
yeah,
someone
yeah,
in the chat asked,
mhm, mhm.
should I become a priest? I mean, free housing, free meals, free time, just by worshipping certain God?
Is that directed to ancient Greek antiquity or is it a general question?
I have
Um,
no.
yeah, so I think that it is the same question across time. Okay, so if there are two types of people: people who really believe in the supernatural and this kind of power of the deities, so they go to serve some great purpose, and people who do it because it's just a job and they get benefit from it. falls upon the individual to decide which will go, I hope.
Thank you so much. Another question is, did Mesopotamian culture influence ancient Hellenic culture regarding their ideas about dreams and supernatural?
Can you repeat that, Habiba? Or can I
Did
say it also?
Mesopotamian, okay, did Mesopotamian culture influence ancient Hellenic culture regarding their ideas about dreams and supernatural?
So I would say that, of course, especially if we think about this kind of later.
Okay.
So in the case of the wrestler, for example, we have this kind of deities that may or may not exist, but for sure, in their wording and the type that appear, they do not look Greek at all. So there's an ongoing knowledge and information and background,
Okay.
and it's been used and supposedly not always in a correct way, because if it is something foreign and you bring it somewhere else to use it, it always looks exotic and powerful. So it doesn't matter if you spell it or pronounce it correctly. It matters that it looks foreign, and this is it. Um, the other thing I will say that there is no creation. So the Greek culture um, is partly, and in language, of course, and in myth, being impacted by a movement of population from Asia. Okay, so all those things that we discuss again do not to a vacuum. There is
Okay.
an inherent connection to all of them.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I think no other questions are in the chat. Okay, I think this is it. Thank you all so much for joining us for tonight's Halloween Bash Masterclass, Healing Dreams and Curses, Unveiling the Supernatural in Ancient Greece. A huge thank you to Dr. Manalis for sharing his time, insight, and spooky ancient wisdom with us tonight. If you enjoyed this session, don't forget to follow Save Ancient Studies Alliance on all platforms to stay updated on upcoming events and reading groups and masterclasses. You can also support SASA through small donations, our bookshop, or by grabbing some merch from the SASA Bazaar. Wishing you all wonderful Halloween, and you may enjoy tonight and be free of ancient curses. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And
Thank
now,
you.
and you can scan the QR code and donate to SASA. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.